Hey guys, welcome to MixtipSunday. Today I want to talk about why and what makes me decide when I'm going to be using static EQ or dynamic EQ. And hopefully at the end you could then decide what suits you when you're doing your mixing. So let's go straight away. Guys, what you find, okay? Typically, like for example on a vocal, if I just play this vocal here, you will see that some places are dynamic, okay, and some places are static, okay. Now what make me determine that? When you have especially like Jamaican reggae artists, dancehall artists, those guys have a rawness. They like the vocals to be a bit raw, but also if you try taking away, so those areas where we deem to be muddy, we take off too much of this with a static EQ, we then lose the character of the vocal. Whereas if we go in a place like here, where there is a constant ringing, see like here, there's a constant ringing out in every single bit of the performance. So that I have a static EQ here. Okay, now the high end, I like to use dynamic EQ on the high end. You could use a DSR as well, but there is something when you can control the cue and the exact position you want to be dynamically controlled. So I prefer using this as to a DSR. Okay. So this is a variation of dynamic and static EQ on a vocal, and you can do that on anything. You can do it on bass guitars or something like that. Decide where you want. You don't want to lose the character, and where you want to take off totally. The other side of the coin is that if I'm mixing to a 2-track, or I'm mixing stem mastering, stem mixing, or even a mastering session where I want the snare to pop out a little bit more. If I put a static EQ there, it's raising everything even when the snare is not there. Now when I use a dynamic EQ and I have it set, look at how it reacts to just the snare, the rim shot. Top, you see? Top, it only pops up, okay, when the rim shot comes in. Top, okay? So this is another great way where you could use a dynamic EQ instead of a static EQ. Alright, so it's only reacting when the rim or when the snare comes, and I use that in mastering as well. When the snare is not popping out enough, I could just use a dynamic EQ and it only reacts to the snare. So here is another great example. Hope you guys see two different ways where you could use static against dynamic EQ. And as always, if you have any questions, just hit me up. Blessed.